If everybody could take their seat or stay standing for the pledge, either one. We're going to do, hold on one second. Let's do roll call first. Sorry. I apologize.
Mayor McKay,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the pledge. Whoops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If any member of the public wishes to speak during public comments, please submit a card. Some of you spoke during the last hearing, and if you want to speak again, just let us know. Right now, we have Manny Iribar, Vince Valletta, David Kaczynski, Kirk Engstrom, and Neil Kalis. If there's anyone that wants to be on this list that's not, please bring us a card. Mayor, before we get to public comment, it's the Eagle Scout project presentation.
Yep. Pull that mic down so you can talk into it.
Hello. Hello, council members. My name is Aryan Verma. I'm in Troop 406, and I'm currently a Life Scout. I see some familiar faces from Tuesday, the meeting, and here's my presentation. So, I'm here to propose my Eagle Scout project for the Town Hall of Southwest Ranches. So, could you please go to the next slide? Sorry. So my Eagle project is to build a flag retirement box for the city to dispose of flags properly and be respectful to them. Because nowadays, the young generation mostly doesn't really take the flag seriously and see it as a symbol of America, even though it represents a lot. And they take it for granted, and they may throw it away in places like garbage cans and trash cans, which is very disrespectful. So making a flag retirement box would be respectful to the American flag, and would be beneficial to the society. Next slide, please. So what will I build it out of? So I'm planning on making it out of oak wood with a waterproof shielding, because it'll be located right out here near the entrance, and it'll be approximately $500. It might be subject to change depending on where I buy it. And the colors are most likely going to be red, white, and blue to symbol like the flag in America. Next slide, please. So I'm planning on building it as soon as possible. I need to meet with the Eagle Board of Approval to get the project approved, and then also donations. So whoever would be willing to make donations in the council members and the audience, I'll be waiting outside for after my presentation, and whoever would like to can talk to me, and I'll take their information. And so after I get donations and get the amount of money, I'll buy materials and soon enough build the project. And hopefully build it by the beginning of summer next year. Next slide, please.
Okay, do you need to present it to your scout committee or somebody for approval at all, or no?
Yes, I presented it to my scout master, and he approved of it, and my Eagle coordinator. So I've gotten that okay. So I just need to get it by the Eagle Board of Approval, which most likely will say yes, because it's a typical Eagle Scout project. So yeah. Okay,
well, I do it for all you that are at that level to get to the Eagle Scouts, so I will donate you $100.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
give it to December to get it to you, because I don't have it on me tonight, but I will get December $100, and she'll get it to you from my contribution to your project.
Thank you very much, Mr.
I'll donate 50, and I have it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not going to be here, you're not going to be here when we get out of here, so here, you might as well collect now.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much. Awesome. Way to go. Thank you. There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions of him?
Well, thank you, everyone.
Okay, David.
Wow, there you go.
All right, going once, twice. Anybody else? Come on.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. Good
Also,
luck with it.
that was my Eagle project proposal. I hope you guys approve of it, which is kind of obvious from this.
I'll get it to December tomorrow.
Is there a motion to approve his project?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Call the question, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. And Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Look forward to it.
Okay, Mayor, next on the list is public comment, starting with Manny Iribar, Vincent Valletta, David Kaczynski.
Hello, Manny Iribar, Diamond Eye Stables, 6200 Melaleuca Road. There's a lot of misunderstanding about Diamond Eye Stables, I think, and I think you may not be fully aware of what's going on. It's a new entity, but it's not a new property. The property's been there for 36 years. Is south of Sterling and Melaleuca, built by James Pirtle. Anybody who's been here long enough knew who James Pirtle was. And he built a small house with a 22-horse barn. I bought it from them, from the heirs here, unfortunately passed away, 4.5 years ago. And we did nothing except clean the place up, okay? So it has been a house with a 22 stall barn for 36 years. We did not change it into a Publix or into a Lowe's or into a CBS, and I don't understand why it changed from agricultural to commercial for the fire assessment only. Maybe I think the confusion came because when we bought it as an LLC. I'm a practicing physician and I don't need the extra liability that sort of property would bring. So the only thing that changed was the way that the property is titled. But it's still a small house with a 22 horse stall barn. And we have our horses. We rent some stalls because contrary to what Councilmember Schroeder said last meeting, we're not trying to take advantage of agricultural exemption to run a profitable or a lucrative horse business. Anybody who feeds and cares for horses knows that it's not a lucrative anything. It's actually a cost. So, that's the long and short of it. So the problem was last year we got hit with this $13,000 fire assessment bill. I tried to call anybody in the city that would listen. I was ignored. So I had to file a lawsuit. Unfortunately, I don't like lawsuits. As a doctor, I don't like lawsuits, okay? So, but nobody would listen, and they would continue to classify the property as commercial forever, and that is not right. I thought, we were being bullied, and I hate bullies of any kind, whether it is government or personal. So, yes, we have a problem with the litigation, but if I get my money back that I paid, that I wasn't supposed to be classified as commercial, I'll drop the lawsuit. But again, it is a misclassification out of nowhere. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Vince? Would you? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, Administrator, and all town officials. First of all, I would be a great help to us that have OPD and suffer from OPD if you would speak directly into the microphone so we could have a better understanding of what's going on. I'm here tonight because I was cited on my property and several others that we were required to repair damages that occurred in the right-of-way when the damages were incurred or done by a person who works directly for the town of Southwest Ranches. And I was informed at that meeting, and the mayor was present, and the town administrator, code enforcement. I was informed at that time that they weren't aware of who incurred the damages to the right-of-way. And those of us that live tangent to the damaged area were asked, well, almost implied that we needed, and we were forced to repair it. I don't think that the taxpayer citizen is required to repair damages that were not occurred by them, to repair damages that recur in the right-of-way. I don't feel that the taxpayer citizen should be required to do that. In any case, I repaired the damages, not only mine, but also my neighbors. I heard that there was several neighbors that had been cited because of the damages on the right-of-way. And again, I'll repeat myself. I don't think that the citizens should be required to repair the damages that are tangent to their property. Excuse me for
You need more time?
my OPD. Anyway,
Give him another minute.
I hope that the code would be altered, that the damages that occurred in the right-of-way, that would be the person that is tangent to it, that they're not required to do it unless they incurred the damages themselves. Thank you for listening. And again, I don't think that the taxpayer citizen should be required to repair the damages in the right-of-way that were not incurred by them at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. David Kaczynski, followed by Kirk Engstrom, followed by Neil Kalis.
Good evening, David Kaczynski, 6411 Holity Trail, speaking on behalf of Sunshine Ranches Homeowners Association. First item is at our September 25th meeting coming up, 7:30 p.m. Our guest speaker will be investigator Les Quetiguera with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. He's going to talk about the captive wildlife issues, including initial inspections, mandatory, routine inspections, complaints, injuries, bites, and can't even read my own handwriting. How about that? Sorry, I blew that one. All right, all are welcome to show up to our meeting. Second item, similar to what Vinny had, I had a lot of phone calls on the gouging issue from code enforcement. Timing, I just gotta say, timing was terrible. Right before Labor Day weekend, I'm getting phone calls. I just got this code enforcement notice. We had Hurricane Dorian bearing down on us, code enforcement notice about gouging. Then it's put, the town can't determine who caused the gouging. Now that's the big eye roll. We all know who caused it. We've had neighbors in our audience maybe not necessarily here present, but speaking about Waste Pro with the clamshell picking up dirt in addition to the bulk, causing these big holes. Let's see, the current year's bulk rate, or actually when we had the transition from Waste Management to Waste Pro, there was an increase in the bulk rate. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was put to us that the town would enforce the bulk pickup from picking up the topsoil in addition to the bulk. Now, I may be wrong, but that's kind of what my recollection is. In summary, it's not fair that in addition to this increase for the bulk that our neighbors had to pay, that our neighbors are also subsidizing Waste Pro for bigging up this dirt in addition to the bulk. And I hope something can be done about this. Thanks.
Thank you. Kirk Engstrom, Neil Kalis, Gage Chapels.
Hello, my name is Kirk Engstrom, 5450 Hancock Road. I'm also concerned about the violation notice I got for the bulk pickup damage. I was told in the past that I had to put, I'm on the east side of Hancock Road, which has the canal, so I only have a 4-foot wide space to put my bulk pickup. I started it on the other side of the road at one time, but many years back they told me I can't do that. That's not my property. I can understand that. So I'm told that's where I have to put it. I've been here for 18 years. The prior 16 years or however it was with the previous contractor, never had any problem with it. The new contractor we had, they're the one that's taking away the canal bank and doing the job. So again, as somebody else has said, why do I have to repair something that I pay the city of Southwest Ranches for the bulk pickup? You contract with somebody, they destroy the property, and why do I have to pay for it? It's just sort of a simple question. I don't think I'll probably get an answer for it tonight, but that is my concern. And also the other thing is that if you want me to have upwards of 100 square foot concrete pad put out there, which was just a suggestion, it's not a requirement. Everybody that does it's going to do it different. You're going to have all these little spots of concrete all up and down the roads by the canals. I just don't think it was really thought out too well on this. And my assumption is that since I'm not going to get an answer tonight, it would be Julio Medina is the person to contact about this. All right, thank you.
Neil, you're up. Followed by Gage Chapels, followed by Robin Ditson is the final speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Ditson.
Oops.
Yes.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, my name is Neil Kalis, Kleiman and Wolf. While I have great respect for each of you, I think that what you did earlier tonight is stunning. How you would single out a member of your community who has a barn and treat him totally differently than any other barn. It's stunning. I would like to read from a portion of the transcript from your August 20th meeting, because I think that once you hear the reading and maybe go back later and look at it, you'll see how stunning this is. This is Councilmember Hartman. I want to make a motion to revise the resolution we have that will set the fire assessment at 99 cents a square foot for commercial. Pull out the barns that, in my view, were miscategorized as commercial. The ones that are basically suing us, and not charge the ag barns that have been identified in this cycle as ag barns, regardless of what category we're trying to put them in. Basically do things the way we did it last year, minus those 5 barns. What he's saying is, and I believe Mr. Hartman was trying to articulate that tonight, is treat these barns, the 5 barns, including Diamond Eye, the same as the other barns, but treat them like they did last year, except for the 5, because last year those 5 were charged as commercial. He was distinguishing them and saying, yes, treat the barns the way they were treated last year, but the 5 barns, not the way they were treated last year, because he said accept that. So I think you've misconstrued it. I think if you go back, you look at the video, and you read the transcript, you're going to see that's exactly what they did. Then Mr. Polyakov offered to assist him, but he didn't make it the motion the same way or suggested motion. What he did was he said 138 properties. I don't think anybody realized that, whether intentionally or not, he was changing what Mr. Hartman's intention was by his motion. The other thing I'd like to just point out, and this is Mr. Polyakov talking about the proposal that you were considering. So under the proposal that's before you tonight, that's before the council tonight, if your structure is 100,000 square feet, okay, we have some. You know, the Sessa's old barns are huge. If you have an enormous barn on your property, you're not going to be charged under the proposal tonight for that square footage. Instead, you're just going to be charged $95, I think meant $95, $95.21 per agricultural acre, regardless of how large that structure is on your property.
Give another minute.
Thank you very much, Mayor. There is no rational way that anybody using common sense could apply a different standard to Diamond Eye than the rest of all the agricultural barns in your city. This will not stand. I think you need to reconsider it. Thank you.
Gay, then Robin Ditzian.
I'm getting old. I have to make notes now. Gay Chapels. The gentleman that just talked about the barn, a barn is a barn is a barn. I think what they have to do, I think the lawyers have to get together and resolve this. There is litigation, so we have to get rid of the litigation. And there's other issues, the money that he paid to even address this. The way this happened is pretty obvious. The original people paid square footage. When they found out, the new owners found out it was high. Why is it this high? Well, you're paying by the square footage, so they did a redo on it, and they found out that it was much more. So that's when the 12,000 came, or 11,000 came into play. So this problem is not for you to resolve. It really is for the lawyer in litigation, as far as I'm concerned. And they should be back to what all the other barns, including Sessa's and Condé Farms and all the rest of them, are handled. We are ag, and I, for one, protect the barns. And I was one that my pole barns were being charged. On the grapple issue, I don't know whether or not any of you remember, but when they first took over, they didn't take over because the storm, there was all that cleanup, and it took forever to get it cleaned up, and so they kind of sat by the sidelines. After it was cleaned up, especially Hancock, I remember, because the canal banks were so bad, they went in and restored the canal banks. And then we handed it over to these people to take care of. So my concern is that I will tell you, I put
Give
my
her another
money
minute.
out for bulk pickup, and they've taken up my paving. They agreed when it was first brought up, if anybody remembers, that they would change those grapples, because when Bergeron did it, he had fixed those grapples so they were round, and they didn't dig anything up. And they sat right here when it was brought up and said, we're going to take care of it right away. I guarantee you, you go look at those grapples, it's the same dirt grapples that they've been using all along. They never fixed it, and now they want us, the taxpayers of this town, to go and fix all of their holes. That's wrong. They're responsible. They need to fix the holes. And hold them to it. I mean, I'm sure if you go back to your minutes, you're going to see what they said. They were gonna fix those grapples. They never did.
Thanks. Robin's the final speaker.
Tonight, anyway.
Robin Ditzian, 5501 Holity Trail. Been a resident since, bought the property in 79, built the house in 83, built the barn first. I am just a layman. I go ahead and I look at some of this paperwork. I go on to the agendas. I go on to the laws and everything else. I don't understand this stuff. I really don't. And it makes it very difficult for a regular person who doesn't have a lawyer mentality to understand it. And it's not right. I know that we have issues and everything else. This fire barn tax, of course, is a big issue with my family. We've got we've got a barn and we rent it. Our ag exemption is very important to my mother because we do have horses that we board at our place. They come by every year to check our barn, make sure we're still boarding horses, to make sure that we still have what we need to do for the ag exemption. They take pictures of it. And, you know, it's important to us. The other thing is that they're supposed to be having a board to fix up this fire tax. I don't know who's on it, but I'm hoping that the people that are on it are people that have barns, have horses, male, females, whether or not they have ag exemption, not ag exemption, but animal lovers preferably, because of course that's why we've got it. Another thing is that a lot of times we're not told, a layman, I didn't know about the fire tax until it was a necessity. I didn't know about the tractor supply until it was a necessity. I don't find out about this stuff until it's out in the world or out on Facebook, truthfully. I find out about things on Facebook, which my mother doesn't check it, but I do. And then I send it to her, and then she doesn't check it, and then I have to say, Mom, you need to look at it. So I don't know if we need to get the word out to the residents a little bit better or not, but I would appreciate it. Another thing, we recently had our irrigation ditch. They put in one of those big block things so it could go to the canal. We have not had any water running through our property in years. Now, I understand it may be for houses down the road and everything else, but we don't have any water. And they came in, they put in this big block, ugly thing to go for the water to go to the canal to the other side of our property or on the other side of the road. And when they did that, there's a liability. And we're very concerned about it because if someone's riding in that swell, if someone's walking in that swell, if someone goes ahead and trips on that swell, it's a concern. And they finally moved the claw, or whatever it is.
Give her another minute.
Thank you, Mayor. They finally moved the stuff out, and I took pictures of it, as a matter of fact, when they were finally gone. And it's very uneven where it is. So I don't know. They told us when they were there that they were going to come back in, put the grass in, fill up everything, it'll be fine. They broke one of our boards. They said that'll be taken care of too. But it's a major concern for the liability of somebody getting hurt in that irrigation or whatever they did. They did it on the other side of the property, on the property next to us, and his doesn't even look, it looks fine. Ours is like really deep and is a mess. So I would appreciate if someone could look into it for us. And thank you for talking to us. I did talk to Gary about it, and I appreciate what you did, but it looks horrible. And I do have pictures if anyone wants to see it. So thank you very much. Have a great evening.
No additional public?
There.
Okay.
We're up to board reports.
Board reports. Come on up.
Michelle McBride, 13851 East Palomino Drive. I just had to speak on to this problem with Mr. Iribar, and it sounds like you all are punishing him for having a lawsuit. And I'm very familiar with this punishment behavior. But what I think that you guys are failing to understand, and maybe some people in the audience fail to understand, is that he didn't have a choice, and we didn't have a choice. We didn't, and neither does he. I mean, of course, he had the choice of just paying these additional exorbitant fees, right? If he would have done that, then everything would go away. And we had the choice of just moving our fence back without questioning who owned the land. That, but when we question it, who decides? I mean, you all don't decide. We can't make an appointment at the courts for them to decide. The only way we decide is our right to, file a lawsuit and let the courts decide. And that's what he did. And he shouldn't be shamed, and we shouldn't feel shamed or punished for this whatsoever. And he's being excluded and treated differently. And I'm sitting there, and that's what I'm shaking my head about, Ms. Schroeder. It's shocking to me, and I'm sure more people are shocked than willing to get up here and stand up, and say that it's wrong. But it is wrong. It's wrong what you're doing to him, and I don't see how you could exclude him from this just because he didn't want to pay those exorbitant taxes. It's ridiculous.
Thank you. All right, Mayor, we're on to board reports.
Yep. Any board reports? Here comes Gay.
They talk quickly.
We had a Parks Board meeting the other night, and some issues were brought up. I really wanted to put this out to the public to get some ideas on the entranceway, but we're going to have to wait until the next meeting, which will be in a month. And we're going to have the art board attended and have their input in it and go from there. As far as I'm going to try to get a price on the canopy. December gave us a price, and it's extremely high. And I just wanted them to know that we want to do it, but $30,000 is a lot of money for a canopy to cover for the children in that we don't have. So I've got some people that do playgrounds, and I'm going to see. It has to be done according to the code. So I'm going to see what kind of a price I can get from them before I give up on that. And they're supposed to start the fence. Are you and your volunteers starting Friday, Doug?
Hopefully this weekend.
Okay. So hopefully the fence that is fishing hole will be started Friday, Saturday, and hopefully be done by Monday.
Nah, the rest is on Josh.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get a whip and get after Josh. Also, the other thing that we wanted to do was clean up some of that, and we discussed the trees and so on and so forth. And so we'll try to work with December and do small patches, but I haven't had a chance to get with December yet. So that's the Parks Board. The I was going to say hysterical. The Historical Society is getting the plaque for Freddie Fisichella to go up. And we are not doing too much other than that for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Not right now, but if you wait till after the meeting, you can.
Steve Bright Cruz, Chairman of the Comp Board. We are going to be discussing in the next meeting is the follow-up to the potential uses out on US 27, the land use changes out there. As I had mentioned before, I had a trip planned long ago to be out of town on that night that we're going to be doing that. So I will be calling into it, but it's pretty clear now that you all will not be able to vote on that, even if we were to get it back to you by then. So, so with your approval, I would kind of like to get some feedback on this. But if with your approval, I would prefer to. We will continue the discussion, but I would like one more meeting so that we can probably take the vote the next night in case we need it, which would be another month. But I think that'll be in October, and I don't think you'll be able to take action on it anyway.
Not an issue.
So I just throw that out there, and if you all are cool with that,
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Mayor, if you
Yep.
don't mind, because the last time it was a motion,
Yep.
I guess if someone could please make a motion for the extension for the month.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Call the question.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski,
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Fixed. Any other board reports?
You're on to councilmember
All right.
comments, Mayor.
We're back to councilmember comments. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go quickly.
Go ahead.
We don't time those.
It was announced in the beginning of the meeting that Freddie had to resign due to health issues. Anybody who's ever been to a meeting knows Freddie. Freddie was a great guy. A long time ago, he was a mentor to me, and I learned a lot about his view of the town, and I learned a lot about Freddie. A lot of people know Freddie as the guy who's up here and the guy who had cattle. Most people don't know Freddie's biggest passion was saving the Everglades and the wildlife out there. He was an avid hunter and fisherman, and Freddie's family still has a cabin north of the alley. I guess it's probably even with Coral Springs. He was, and when all the Save the Everglades stuff was going on, before we were a town, probably 20, 25 years ago, Freddie was right in the middle of that because he recognized all the way back then, it wasn't so much about the water back then, it was more about the, from a regular person's perspective, the recreation out there. You dry that up, you develop that, you build over it. And Freddie was on the Florida Wildlife Board. I mean, he was involved in a whole lot of things. Freddie also has a pretty big family. He's got 3 kids, and I think he's got 6 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. The reason, and I mean, he sat on the council more than anybody else on any of these walls. Freddie's kind of got the record for the number of years he served, which is phenomenal. I constantly hear from friends, I'm always encouraging people to get involved in our boards, wherever you live, get involved. And all I ever hear is, I don't have time. Freddie had a job, Freddie had a big family, Freddie was involved in Everglades restoration, Freddie was involved in keeping our town rural, Freddie was involved as a cattleman. Pretty busy guy, but made a lot of time to talk to residents, made a lot of time, was here. I mean, Freddie missed the occasional meeting like anybody else, but Freddie sat up here for a total of, 16 years? Roughly, 15 years? But my point is that I'm too busy. I got friends that, why can't you get out? I got cats. Okay, you got cats. Why don't you come on it? Oh, I'm really busy on my job. Yeah, we all got jobs. I'm really busy with my family. We all got families. Freddie always found time. He's always an inspiration to me, and I don't know how else to say thank you, but I haven't been over to see him. I'm trying to get over there this week, but I got to say thank you to this guy because he's an inspiration. He's somebody that anybody can find something about him that can become their thing. So that's Freddie. I wanted to talk about what we've got going on with the properties getting destroyed by the clamshell buckets. We've had that problem on and off for years. The town is trying to fix the problem, and if it was me, I'd probably be screaming loud too. But let me tell you what's gone on over the years. So if you remember, we had waste management forever. I must have been lucky. We had a waste management guy that came out with for bulk, that came with a rake. If he couldn't get it all with the bucket, and that bucket only goes so far, he'd throw it in the bucket, with it closed, and he'd rake up whatever else, and he did a great job. There was never anything in the road when they were done. I mean, the guy did a phenomenal job, and I never recall ever back then having, holes dug in my yard. Now, when we went to Bergeron, in the beginning, we had somebody who was, maybe it was the same guy, I don't know, but we had, the first guy was good. The person who did it after that, I came home to holes in my yard every time. And you can ask Sandy. This is long before I was in the council. It had nothing to do with, well, Bob sits on the council, let's go fix his yard. I'd call Sandy back then because we really didn't have a hotline to get in touch. And Sandy'd have them drive out. The supervisor would come out. He'd say, yep, they dug a hole. And they'd fill it in with some topsoil and throw a couple pieces of sod. I had to water it, but, they did the right thing. We went back and forth. We had some guys that were really good. We had some guys that were really bad. And towards the end with waste management, I basically moved my bulk pile from in front of my house because they had done so much damage. I moved it down to my swale. I mean, yeah, we got a drainage swale on one end of the property. They kept digging that a little deeper for me every time, and I didn't have a problem with that because they weren't doing damage. They were actually providing me a service. The most recent with Waste Pro, when they first came down my street, they did a bunch of damage. Again, I'd come home and there'd be a 4x4 piece of sod, and a hole that deep every week. So again, I got in touch first with Sandy, but then I started just logging it. If you go out to the town website, there's a Waste Pro logo on there. It's basically their complaint, their complaint system. You put a note in there, somebody will call you back. And if they've done damage, they'll come out and they'll fix it. So there's a remedy for all this. I came home, somebody illegally dumped in front of my house last week. They dumped all this old furniture. Come home and there's a pile, and I said to my wife, did you put that out there? What are you talking about, Bob? So, they came out and they dug me some new holes. It's been a long time, but they dug me some new holes. So I noticed it. I'm going to put a complaint into the Waste Pro system, and if they don't come out, then I'll call Sandy. I don't want to keep dumping it on her because if everybody in town calls Sandy, she'll be working 11 o'clock every night. But I just wanted to give you that. There's a mechanism out there. I don't think, and I don't recall every detail in the contract. The town's got teeth in the contract that if they're regularly late, like Bergeron would come 3 days later with no remorse, regularly. These guys, for the first year, they weren't doing the job either. We finally brought them out here, read them the riot act, and my service on my street's been very regular, and otherwise I'd be complaining. But use the system that's out there. Go out to the town website, and it's right there, Waste Pro. It's a logo out there. You just click on it and record it. But they've been good lately. I've talked to the guy that's out there. If you're a little bit friendly, maybe they don't do. They care a little more. I'll say not do the same damage. Maybe care a little bit more. So at this point, that's really all I got to contribute. The town crier, I didn't want to rain on his parade. Gary's got a whole list, I'm sure.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I'd like to address a couple of the things that were said tonight. One is the design that Gabe brought up for the Country Estates Park, basically fishing hole. The chair of that board should probably get his people together and see if you can brainstorm and come up with some really good ideas and stuff to present to the Rural Arts and the Parks Board, and see if they can come up with something that they think might be appealing for your area. I think that would be a good thing to do. Vinny talked about his swales being tore up, and so did a lot of other people. It's like dumping illegals. When people come and dump illegal waste on your property, if you make a police report, which we're going to use Sandy as our cop, if you call that in and she knows it and comes out and can see it, you're not responsible for that. That's going to be taken care of. David also brought up he got several phone calls, many phone calls. But David, what I'm going to tell you is if those phone calls don't get to town hall, they ain't getting fixed. Because you can't fix it. Sandy can fix it. So your job, as soon as you get that phone call, is to either tell them to call town hall or you're to call town hall and address this issue immediately. Because 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, it's not helping that person who made the phone call to you. Oh, it was just weekend phone calls. Monday would have been fast enough.
Hotline.
Okay. Tuesday.
Okay, let's knock off the give and take.
I'm just saying, if you call town hall and say, I've had a few phone calls, it was a holiday weekend, I'm letting you know, Sandy will take care of that. That's her job. That's what she's supposed to do. So if you could just tell the residents at your meeting to call town hall and address these issues, they will be handled. As far as the agricultural, this has come up. I'm not against ag. I love it. I think it's great. If you qualify it, the county gives you permission to do it. The state reiterates that. You're legal, you're good. We do have some violators out here. There is no doubt. Those are the people that need to be stopped, not the people that have true ag. They filed their papers, they crossed their T's, they dotted their I's, they're good. I don't have a problem with that. There is talk that I'm against ag. Why would I be against ag? I have horses, goats, chickens. I filed for ag at one time. And I'll be perfectly honest, I was just too lazy to do all the paperwork and go through that. It just wasn't worth my time. I let it go. No big deal. But if you have it and you've earned it and the county gives it to you, it's a great thing. As far as us punishing someone, I don't think we punish anybody. It's not my job to punish anybody. I leave that higher up or I leave it for the police. I'm not out here to punish anybody. That's not my job. My job is to get the facts and go on just the information that has been given to me. That's it. That's all I can do. And if it isn't enough, then I'm not getting all the facts and information that I need. And that comes from input from the residents also. Communications, talking, listening, mostly listening. And I think I do a pretty good job of that. I try to listen to everybody. So it is not easy sitting up here. As we well know, it's a tough job. It's nerve-wracking. It's not the easiest thing to do, but we try to do it. I think all of us try to do it the best we can. And that's all I have to say.
All right. I'm up.
You're up.
Thank you. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Bob. Thank everybody for coming. As you know, this was our budget meeting, and we have another one later on this month, which will be the final adoption or changes to the budget. So I just want to make mention of that. Bob brought up an interesting point on the, and some of our residents have too, on the damage done by the claws and bulk pickup. Full disclosure, I do not have my bulk area on a canal bank, so it's just in a regular swale. So let's start at that top of the line with that. I too had gouging after the hurricane. It was more the hurricane FEMA pickup because I lost a 110-foot black olive, and it took a long time to cut it up and get it all out there. But the one area that I picked for consistent bulk, and I'm just giving you an anecdotal on my end, I put down 6 to 9 18-inch pavers and let them sit, and then I just started piling the bulk on top of that. And a year later now, it's pretty much solved my problem. So, and yes, some of them got broke, and I've got to go replace them. I keep putting them back there. 2 of them are looking like a jigsaw puzzle right now, but you know, I'm not too worried about it. So, and it's a quick shot over to Lowe's or Home Depot to replace them. So, just want to make mention that's a possible solution if, people want to do that after they've repaired their area. I just plopped them down in the grass and then piled stuff on top of them, and it seems to work. They sunk, and everything works out for that. Just a few other things to get into. We have Hazmat in the Park coming up this weekend, Saturday from 8 to 2 at the barn. And it's a great way to get rid of a lot of stuff that you may have accumulated, tires, things of that nature. And we also have shredding and drug prescription drop-off by Davie Police, no questions asked. So important to note that. We also have something new we're trying at Town Hall on October 5th. It's the pet adoption. Broward County is going to be out here at Town Hall for adopting pets from 11 to 2 p.m. So come by if you're interested in rescuing a dog or a cat. This would be the place to do it. They're coming to us. We have the Country Roads Arts and Craft Festival coming up at the Equestrian Park on the 19th of October from 10 to 4 p.m. It's always a lot of fun and a lot of interest to go to. It's rain or shine. I've been there, unfortunately, when it rains a lot. So, but it's a great place to start getting some early Christmas presents. We have, and this one's always a fun one. We have Halloween at the barn on the 26th, Saturday night. Starts, I guess, at dark 30 and continues on throughout the night. We usually have a haunted barn and a few other festivities. Come out, bring your cart table, park your car, bring some lights. Kids have a lot of fun. The little ones they're gorgeous. They're drop dead gorgeous. We have costume contests and all that. And that's all put on by the Rolling Oak Civic Association. I think we've been doing it now for close to 20 years or more. And and if you can't make it and you want to donate some candy, we'd love to take that too. Just drop it off at here at Town Hall. I know Andy's having so hopefully the staff doesn't need it all. But anyway, if you want to make a donation for some candy, that would be great also. We have the Flowmobile here on the 26th of this month from 10 to 2 p.m. One of the greatest services you could have from the DMV. They come to you, you come here, get your license straightened out or a car registration renewed. Senator Rubio's office is going to be here on the 10th from 10 to 12. If you have any questions or situations with federal matters, his liaison can more than likely help you out or point you in the right direction. January 3rd is the Mr. and Mrs. Southwest Ranches pageant. It's put on by the Education Advisory Board. The applications, I believe, are at the town website and online, and we have a lot of fun with that. It's really a real small town appeal. Everybody just has a blast whenever we go there with the kids. So I urge you to attend, and if you're an applicant, please get the application process started. And I'll close with this. On the 16th of November, at the barn, we have the car show, and we also have this year, in addition to that, we're going to have a chili cook-off. No, I'm not entering, so so that's not going to happen this year. But we're having the chili cook-off along with the car show, and it's been a lot of fun. You get to see a lot of cars. There's 50, 60, 100 cars there. Great opportunity to check out I enjoy taking pictures of the different cars and the whatnot. But with the addition of the World of Chili, and this is free to everybody to come on out. And I'm not sure what the cost is for the chili. If I know it used to be like $5 or $10 somewhere in there, and when it was at the Equestrian Park. So I'm not 100% on that one. So, and we also have a kids zone that's going to be there at the chili festival and the car show. And Mayor, that's all I have. I'm out of gas.
We're good. I just want to thank everyone for coming out. Greatly appreciated. You have 2 times a month to come see us, and talk to us or complain to us or whatever you need. So, all right, I'm going to legal comment.
Sure, Mayor, I'll be very brief because I think it's going to warrant a discussion at maybe the next council meeting, and that is, for years and years, we've been talking to the school board about, at Broward County about if they were ever going to build the site that they purchased for a school. Years ago, we approached them and said, please allow us to bring in a charter school operator to potentially build a K through 12 agriculturally focused charter school for students who are potentially interested in ag or veterinary medicines, et cetera. The school board said no. They said, we're keeping this property, we're not touching this property, and we're not doing anything.
And we offered to buy it back.
And we've offered to buy it back about 7 times since I've been here. Out of the blue, Andy got an email this week from the school board saying, we're surplusing this property, okay? The notion of surplusing that property, which is 30 acres, brings out a tremendous amount of concerns. One, the property has a deed restriction on it that we put on it, fortunately, saying it has to be a school, okay? Two, that 99% of the time when the school board surpluses a property, they put a deed restriction on it saying that it cannot be a school. Okay? 3, in order to increase the value of the property, the then council increased the land use on that site to high-density residential.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow.
Broward County never recognized what the town did because of the fact that they felt that it violated all sorts of provisions with the town. So the town's map shows it being high-density residential, but the county map still shows it to be rural ranches with a community facility underlying zoning district. It is our recommendation that when you get your 5th council member, that immediately you correct the land use to put it back to rural ranches, which is a very simple process, because then it will just go back to matching the county's map, which currently shows it as rural ranches. Where it comes to a larger discussion, which I'd like to have with the council, is to see if the council still desires to have a agriculturally focused charter school, because a potentially K through 12 charter school. Southwest Ranches charter school, meaning that it would give priority to Southwest Ranches residents before it could be filled with other residents. If the council still has that desire, we will immediately move on finding operators who potentially would be interested in submitting a P3 to the town, public-private partnership, to acquire the site and to run it as a Southwest Ranches charter school. So want to bring that to your attention because it just happened literally, I think, Andy, yesterday. And as a result, you have virtually, this is the first time most of you are hearing about this because it came out of the blue to all of us. So maybe at the next meeting, we can put it as a discussion item to see what the will is of the council. Other than that, no further legal comments.
Okay. Andy, you're
Yeah,
up to
just
bat.
really one thing tonight, Mayor. There was some discussion about resident issues that arise maybe at night or over the weekend or perhaps over a holiday weekend. And I just want to point out to the public that code enforcement has a hotline. The telephone number is 954-343-7449, 954-343-7449. We do have night and weekend coverage, and any call that goes into that number, so anything that the town needs to be aware of, that an email is immediately sent to both Robert Solera and Julio Medina. So if there's something going on in town that you want to let the town know when town hall is closed, call that number, and Robert will get that message. If it's something that needs to be brought to my attention, obviously he will do that. So and that number is in the newsletter on that last page where all the phone numbers are. It is in there if you didn't get it tonight. So I just want to share that with you and make you all aware of that. Thank you.
Okey doke. Russell, resolution number 9.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, accepting the Selection and Negotiation Committee's recommendation and award for continuing contracts to Craven Thompson and Associates, Inc., Keith and Associates, Inc., and Baxter and Woodman, Inc. for professional surveying services, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Mayor, the staff did a procurement for surveying services. The selection committee ranked the proposals. These were 3 that they are coming back to you for recommendation to not award a contract to, but a continuing services agreement, so that if the town ever needs surveying services, it has 3 that it can go to for pricing and to determine whether or not it wishes to go forward. So it's here for your approval.
Need a motion in a second. Going to wait for Gary to get back.
Motion to approve?
Second.
You only need 3.
Okay. You all don't mind, I'll wait for Gary. Any public comment on this matter?
You only need
3.
2 affirmative votes.
He's coming.
He's
Here he
back
comes.
anyway. So you-
All right, Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski. Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right, number 10, please.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, establishing a Town Council meeting decorum policy, establishing standards for the proper conduct and procedures at town meetings, authorizing the town administrator to implement the official decorum policy, and providing an effective date.
Your motion in a second.
Motion to
You want to
approve?
make the motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Oh, it was already.
Gary, you're second.
Oh.
That's
It's all right.
I got it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is something that council had asked for us to work on. I've shared previous drafts with you. There are numerous copies posted around the room, and so what we were asking for is council to formally adopt that tonight.
Okay.
By the way, it's by resolution, so if the council finds that something in this list isn't working, you can always modify it.
Tweak it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any public comment on this matter? Okay. And it's on the dais.
It's right here. Steve Bricruz, 5120 Southwest 195th Terrace. Couple of comments on this, and I have an earlier draft. I don't. It may vary slightly from what's here as the final. I didn't see the final till tonight. A few things that I think we may want to consider. As far as signing up for public comment, it says it ends when public comment starts. Many times, pretty much all the time, we as the public don't know what someone else is going to say until they start to say it up here. And so many times, I think you all will attest to this, that you get in a lot of public comment cards after public comment starts, because that's when you start to hear about different topics that are going on in town. So I would encourage you to change that so that public comment cards can be taken until public comment is over. I think that's pretty reasonable. It says that all speakers will be civil and respectful in all manners. I certainly agree with that. That's no problem with that. I would just say that that should apply to the council as well. I have stood here and been mocked by the council while I've stood here. And so I think it should apply to everyone, not just to us out here. It should apply to you as well, and it does not say that in here, but it should. And then the last thing I want to say is it talks about that we as the members of the public will look this direction when we speak. Most times that's fine. But you have many elected officials that want to look that way for all the right reasons. And frankly, sometimes as members of the public, we want to look that way as well. So I don't think that's appropriate, and I think that should be removed. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment closed. Back up here. Any additional input?
I do like the idea of extending, I guess, the acceptance period that we take the cards from people, because he's right. I mean, when I sat in the seats for years, somebody would say something, and if it was closed already, I'm out of luck to really respond to something somebody had said. So I kind of like that idea.
I think I hear you and I understand that. don't disagree, but I think we've always allowed people, if they want to come up and talk, as long as we were not short on time, we've let them come up and fill cards out after the fact even, so.
Yeah, we have a
And
time
and
frame,
again-
don't we? We allow so many minutes
Right.
for public
You
comment.
all can always waive any of these
Anything.
requirements, even the talking the opposite direction, et cetera. The issue with the public comment cards is you all limit it to 30 minutes because you have so much other work you do and your meetings have to end at 11, that if you didn't create a time frame, whenever it is, for it to be cut off, the end speakers could be very upset that they never got to speak, and you could always modify the time in between. So that's why it was done that way.
I don't recall the last time I agree with you. Once upon a time, we were always running up against 11, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I don't want to limit if it's just in case. I mean, I guess the point also, Doug, is you have the discretion to extend it or to continue receiving cards. As long as you're fair about it, I don't think anybody can say anything about that.
Yeah, I think over the years, I don't believe I've been unreasonable with it, so I don't see why I would change the way I've treated it.
Yeah, I'm hearing the public saying, why are we putting a policy down? if we're not gonna-"
There's another
Yeah,
thing
but
to add, and that is the camera system that we're getting this year is going to be on the speaker. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andy.
Yeah, that's why you don't want to.
And they're going to be put up here
Behind us.
on the two boards behind us. So, yeah, eye contact is great when they want to turn around, but the public will be watching them on the two boards behind us.
Correct.
So when we get all that installed, so we'll see how it goes. We modify it if
We can
we need
tweak this anytime we want.
Yeah. This is really a courtesy thing, not to shut anybody down.
All right, call it.
Mayor has to call.
Mayor?
Yes.
Call the question.
Are you calling? the
Call the question.
Councilmember Hartman?
Anybody else had anything to say?
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 11.
All right.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, supporting the Fourth Amendment to the Interlocal Agreement for creation of the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, but respectfully requesting that the amendment does not go into effect until and unless all member cities be granted an equal vote, directing the town clerk to send a certified copy of this resolution to all affected parties and providing for an effective date.
Council, this is the resolution that you requested, that basically Broward County wants the ability to swap in their members.
No, they want everybody.
Well, I mean, there's still a limit as to how many they have, but to swap in their members into the MPO, which would basically guarantee that the town would never vote at the MPO.
Exactly.
So as a result, you have asked us to draft a resolution, which we have, that supports what the county is doing, but basically says, give us a vote as well. And that's why it's here.
Correct.
Okay. Motion.
Yeah, well, before we do a motion, I've never even been to an MPO meeting, and I know you're our rep. I had heard that there's actually a statutory limitation on the number of people that can vote.
Yes,
can you
the
explain
state,
that?
I believe the state sets how many representatives you can have for each,
Okay.
state. Like,
And
I think it was Michigan I
It's-
wanted to think of, or New York, one of them. I mean, they've got like 138 or something. And I'm
It's
like,
addressed in the resolution.
Yeah.
The resolution states that we would ask them to seek it's a local bill. It's a very easy thing to
Okay.
fix.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was going to
Yes.
go with it. I mean, I kind of know how it works, but I know you know
Right.
it better. It seems to me that I think the local bills are due tomorrow.
Noon.
I know. I'm just pointing that out. But in any case, yeah, we ought to be fighting to have the statute changed to, if it's the same for Dade Broward as it is for Polk, where I don't want to say 11 people. I think few people have moved in. It's not a fair way to apportion the voting. So, I mean,
I don't
all
even
for
know.
changing the state law.
yeah, I don't even know how they came up with the numbers they did, but it was said, well, the big dog gets the vote. But if you're going by a tax base, this town pays
Yeah.
a lot of taxes.
Yeah.
And for us to sit there and not have a voice in any way, shape, or form, it's like, well, what do you need to vote on that for? It doesn't even affect you. It does affect me when it comes to roads and expansions and walkways and bicycle paths, and it does affect us. So
For the lady who said we talk legalese. Hold on. Let me just educate the audience real quick. And I mean, Dee could probably do a much better job at this, but
no, go for it.
the bottom line is the Metropolitan Planning Organization takes the state and I believe federal appropriations that we get for our county for roads, not FDOT, but FDOT works with them. And what happens then is the Metropolitan Planning Organization prioritizes which roads get widened, built, flyovers, bridges, repairs, all that stuff. The problem with the process is little old Southwest Ranches, who has the highest value homes in Broward County, can't vote on getting Griffin Road widened unless Pembroke Pines, they have how many votes do they have? One? Is it just one from each from those cities, or is it
Yeah,
more?
they have one from there.
Okay. Or Fort Lauderdale. We have to wait for one of the heavyweights to not show up so Dee can vote and participate in the process. And it's crazy because we contribute, as Dee was saying, a huge amount of money to Broward County's tax base, but we don't get a vote because we're little old Southwest Ranches. And that should change because, you know, we've either got to suck up to somebody or we got to wait for somebody not to be there to get our say out there. And that's
Even the
not very
monies,
democratic.
even the monies for projects and stuff that they approve. Now the list, and Emily and Andy would probably know this, is going to change as far as if you're asking for, you know, $1 million for this, and then we come in and we say, well, you know, we only need $180,000 to put in these lights. Give them their $1 million. They're a big city. They contribute. They think they contribute more. You know, they seem to get the thumbs up, and we don't. And it's
Anybody
just,
want to make a motion?
yeah. go
But does that make sense? I mean, this is a bad
I make a
process.
motion that we accept this.
Second.
Okay. Call the question, please.
Public comment or no?
No.
No.
Okay.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Nick?
That was definitely an inside baseball conversation amongst
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, it was.
Item 12 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, establishing a fire assessment review committee to provide input into the methodology utilized for the town's annual fire services assessment, appointing the committee members and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment on this matter?
You have to appoint the members.
What?
You have to appoint the members.
Yes,
absolutely.
you have to come up.
And
Sorry.
state your name and your address, your home address, please. Thank you.
Robin, whoops. Robin Ditzian, 5501 Holity Trail, resident for years. This resolution, I want to know who's appointing the committee, who's doing this. I mean, I have no
Each
idea.
one of us are picking two people, preferably one that's an ag person and the one that is a non-ag person.
So does that
And
mean
that's
that
how
there's
that
going to be 10
committee's going to get
people?
formed. Pardon me?
Does that mean that there's going to be 10 people?
Means there's
Yes.
gonna be eight.
Well, unless you,
Yeah, Mayor.
yeah, 8?
I could speak to that as well,
Okay.
if you'd like.
8 people.
Wow, it's gonna
Because
be-
there's only
it's the
4 of us up here.
Right, because
Yeah.
we have the resignation. So when we get another person, I mean, are we going to get 2 other people in at another time?
One would hope. But until that happens, I would tell you no.
Well,
And-
When she's done,
hopefully we have this done before that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it needs to be done before that. It's
I'm
a
with
time,
you.
It's a time certain.
But until it's done.
So, and it will be 2 people that it'll be, each one of you will choose a person.
No, Each one of us will choose two
Two
people.
people.
One an ag person and one a non-ag person.
Doesn't,
Doesn't have to be that, but that's
It's
kind of
pref-
what we were shooting for.
And there'll be
Mayor,
men and women.
Yeah, hold
too.
on. Let Andy.
Like, I think I can speak to it, and I think it'll answer your questions as
Thank
well.
you.
So, what we've asked the council members to each give us two names that we can put onto this committee, and for the purposes, I guess, for this meeting, I'll certainly read the list of the appointments if council would like me to do
So
that.
you already have a.
The other thing is, I do have two additional names that Councilmember Fisickelli had suggested. So I'll share those names with you. You can either honor his request to put him on the committee now until such time as he's replaced. You could appoint those people at large if you choose to, or you could limit it to 8. But the names that I have,
Andy,
Yep.
let's since we're following protocol, just finish the public comment and then we can go from there.
I appreciate the fact that you
think I'm
guys have
answering.
chosen 2 people each. I like the fact that Freddie's chosen 2, so that it's kind of fair with 10 people, and hopefully it's people that we can have good talkings about. So, thank you very much.
Kirk Ekstrom, 5450 Hancock Road. Just so I'm clear on it,
Yeah.
each council member will pick 2 people, any 2 people. It's not required, or it's not somebody who currently has ag exempt and somebody who does not. It's just 2 people that you want to submit.
Anybody,
correct.
each
Yes.
one of us wants to submit 2 people. Yeah.
Could submit 2 people, and there's no criteria for those people, whether they are agricultural exemption people or whether they are not. It can be just anybody, is what you're telling me.
It can, but preferably we would do
Okay, so you're doing a preference there. Now, will this list of people that are going to do this committee about the fire assessment, will they be known to the county, to the residents of the county, residents of the city?
Absolutely.
I think they're going to get read the
But it-
list.
but
They're
it's
going to get
still
read
here
in
in a
just a
minute.
few minutes.
Oh, they're good.
And all the meetings to discuss this will be publicly noticed and available for public.
And public can
attendance.
entertain.
Okay, before
The
the
public will
final
be allowed to
decision is made.
participate also if they like.
Okay, so the public will be able to participate before the final decisions are made.
Just remember, we can't do anything closed door.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mayor, is public comment closed?
Yeah.
Then Andy can.
yeah, I think
Andy.
certainly the intention of the council was to be cross-representative of the community.
Yes.
But I do need some because I do have the list of names I'd like to read, but
Go.
is the council supportive of the appointments that Councilmember Fisickelli had conveyed to me?
I am.
Yes.
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 Okay, so that would put 10 people. So the appointments, the list I have is for Mayor McKay, I have James Starkweather and Jennifer Dacton. From Vice Mayor Jablonski, Jim Albritton and Steve Bright Cruz. From Councilmember Schroeder, I have George Morris and John Eastman. From Councilmember Hartman, I have Fred Cox and Lori Parrish. And from Councilmember Fisickelli, Gay Chapels and Mike Fisickelli. So that's the names that have been submitted, and these meetings will be publicly noticed.
And anyone can attend.
There's a motion, a second, and that
Okay.
includes those names.
Call the question.
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, urging its congressional leaders, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Broward County Board of County Commissioners to minimize the commercial air traffic over the Town of Southwest Ranches and to maximize the altitude of commercial air traffic over the Town of Southwest Ranches approaching and departing from the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport and providing for an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any public comment in this matter? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Back to the council. Any other additional discussion? Sorry. No? Call the question.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jablonski?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Third. Fourth.
Good night. Thanks for coming out.
Which one?